Now, then she's so tired, she lie down on the couch. But then Azan Asr comes. So she stands up again to try to pray, like that. It was agony to her. What can I do? I want to ask you, what can I do in using exposure and response prevention? How can I do it? Think, what can I do? Shall I prevent her from prayer for a week or 2 weeks? No prayer. Shall I do this? Where shall I go in doomsday of Al-Qiyamah? You prevent my slave from praying to me. You silly. You think you are important, so go to hell because you have to be punished for this. I cannot tell her, don't pray. But in that case, I cannot be using proper psychotherapy for obsessive compulsive disorder. What can I do? The answer, the first answer was the following. Look here, Zainab. Do not say any prayer again alone. You must have someone to become your imam. You are not responsible for whether you pray 3 or 4 rak'at. Just follow them. Do you have someone at home who can lead the prayer? She said, yes, I have my brother. Okay.
Jadi Zainab tadi istirahat, sholat duhur, kelemahan, istirahat, baru duduk, udah adzan asar. Terus dia sholat, begitu terus. Jadi menurut beliau apa yang harus dilakukan? Apakah beliau harus, kalau menurut proper teknik tadi kan harus preventing, langsung nggak boleh sholat gitu ya. Tapi kan nanti apa kata Allah di hari kiamat kalau kita menyuruh orang nggak sholat. Lalu yang dia lakukan adalah yang pertama, jangan sholat sendirian, harus ada imamnya dan kita tidak perlu mikir udah berapa rakaat dan sebagainya, tinggal ikut.
Okay. So, time
Asar break.
Okay, then we finish there. So, she said, I have my brother at home. Bring your brother tomorrow. Her brother came. He is an artist. He has very big hair, like making himself as if he is a great artist and philosopher. Now, will you kindly, your sister is having an obsessive disorder, compulsive disorder, with prayer. I don't want her to pray again and repeat. In Islam, when a person prays after the Imam, he has no responsibility. Whatever the Imam does, he follows, and it is accepted by Allah. So will you kindly pray the 5 prayers leading her? He said, no. I don't pray, I am a communist.
Oh.
So he was not helpful in this way. Okay. Translate this, we finish from there.
Ya, lalu kakaknya dibawa ke terapi, itu kakaknya rambutnya yang tinggi-tinggi gitu kayak artis gitu, terus ditanya apakah kamu mau menjadi imam untuk Zainab 5 kali sehari, dia bilang enggak, aku nggak sholat karena aku komunis.
So it was Ramadan. We have one imam who prays in the most beautiful voice of the Quran. And he prays about 13 rak'ahs, he prays the whole juz. He finished the whole Quran during Ramadan. And I prayed there. Look, Zayn, now I want you to come every night after Isha. You pray after this man. There are women praying, and the man, he prays so beautifully, people weep when they hear him. And women sob. So she came. She prays the 13 rak'ahs every night, first day of Ramadan, second day. When we reached the 20th day of Ramadan, she came to me. Now I can pray at home without repeating it. For the first time, she enjoys standing to pray. She never had this experience before. So here, the very long prayer is a form of therapy for her. This is how I have twisted the thing. And now, her brother was so happy to see his sister being treated. He came to me, I want to make a picture of you, painting. Give me a small picture, I gave him a small. He made a beautiful painting of me. I still keep it at home. Yeah.
Terus kemudian ada sebuah masjid di mana di situ imamnya sangat bagus suaranya dan membaca surat panjang-panjang hingga satu Quran habis selama Ramadan. Kemudian beliau minta Zainab sholat di masjid itu, dan setiap hari, setiap malam, dan pada malam ke-20 Zainab datang ke Prof. Malik Badri melaporkan bahwa dia untuk pertama kalinya bisa sholat di rumah dengan nyaman tanpa mengulang. Jadi beliau dengan kreatif memodifikasi prinsip exposure and response terapi tadi, dan long prayer ternyata menjadi terapi bagi Zainab ini. Gitu.
Yeah, so this example I'm giving you, it is an example of our early Muslim physicians, what they have invented, what psychotherapy is doing, and how to make use of a Western psychotherapeutic technique in therapy to Islamize it. Zainab prays very well, she doesn't repeat, but she continues collecting papers. Her obsession of collecting papers continued, and I didn't care about it. Let her to collect papers, since she is praying and she is happy. Thank you very much.
Ya, dan itu adalah contoh di mana prinsip ini di dokter pada zaman keemasan sekitar abad 7 sampai 12 itu ya. Itu menggunakan teknik seperti itu, kemudian psikoterapis, Western psikoterapis membuat prinsip-prinsip psikoterapi yang sekarang dikenal, kemudian bagaimana mengislamisasi prinsip tersebut.
But the most successful therapy is that which we do not use sudden emotion. We use a gradual approach, and we create a feeling opposed to the thing that we want to get rid of. This is systematic desensitization. Flooding brings sudden emotion and grief, but systematic desensitization is slower and it makes the patient happier. You don't need to put him in serious trouble. Systematic desensitization is the most commonly used therapy today as part of cognitive behavior therapy. I will concentrate on it in our practical session.
yang paling berhasil kemudian adalah sistematik desensitisasi, bukan flooding, karena itu gradual, jadi resikonya juga mungkin lebih ringan untuk pasien, dan itu adalah bagian dari CBD. Selanjutnya nanti beliau akan menjelaskan dan mempraktekkan itu dengan lebih detail begitu. Sekarang kita break dulu ya, break sholat asar. Silakan Puspa.